Well, one of the things we hear all the time is from buyers, why are closing costs so much money, Jenny? And then from sellers, we'll hear, I'm not paying any of the buyer's closing costs. So today we're going to break down what are closing costs, and if you're a buyer, how that impacts you, and if you're a seller, how I always recommend that you think about it. So while we say closing costs, there's two sections of it. There's what we call closing costs, and those are all about the transfer of the property and you buying the property. Then there's prepaids that are always part of closing costs, and that is all about prepaying for certain things. So let's talk about just the closing costs that's involved with transferring the property there and buying the property. So the number one is what they call the loan origination fee. So as part of your closing costs as a buyer, there's a loan origination fee, and that can dramatically change from lender to lender. Like, you need to know exactly what fees your lender is charging you. And some of them are a little bit sneaky. They'll say, oh, we don't have an origination fee. But they're calling it something different. But I can promise you that lender is not working for free. So there's some fee that the lender's charging. That's a closing cost. Another one is the closing attorney. Like, the closing attorney is the one that you sit down with, go over all the paperwork, sign the paperwork, and then he files it at the courthouse. So you've got closing costs with the attorney. You also have to pay to have those deeds recorded at the courthouse. That's another fee. Another one is the appraisal fee. So you're going to pay for the appraisal as part of your closing costs, where that obviously is where the appraiser goes out and makes sure that the value is significant enough for the bank. Then you've also got your title search and title insurance. So a title search is make sure that who's selling the property can sell the property, and that all the liens that are on the property are paid off, so that when you buy the property, the only liens on there is your new mortgage. So you got the title search, and then title insurance is the portion that kind of guarantees that the work they did was correct. Now, if you're not getting a mortgage, you get rid of the loan origination fee. That's gone because you don't have that fee. But you're still going to have an attorney fee. You're going to have recording fees. You're going to have a title search. And if you're smart, you're going to have title insurance. If you don't have a mortgage, that is up to you. But notice, I said if you're smart, you're going to have it, because if you ever need it, you'll want to have it. So those are all closing costs that are really all about the buyer. Then on the prepaid side of that, you've got your first year of homeowners insurance. Your mortgage company is going to make you do certain things in order for them to insure give you the loan. So insurance is one. So you've got your first year of homeowners insurance. Another one is you're going to have to pay to set up your taxes. So they're going to collect a couple of months of taxes for the escrow account, so that when the tax bill comes due, that money is there for the mortgage company to pay out. Another one is there could be HOAs. Like, depending on the HOA, you're going to have to pay that in order to get into the subdivision. It'll be prorated up to the day of closing, but you would be paying from the day you close all the way until it's due next time. And then the last one is what they call prepaid interest. So like, if we close on August 20th, then your first payment is going to be due October 1st. So they collect that interest that's going from mid-August up until October 1st at the closing. So once again, if you're paying with cash, a lot of those go away. Obviously, there's no prepaid mortgage insurance. You don't have to have property insurance, although if you're smart, that's another one you're going to want to have. But you don't have to have it if you don't owe any money on the property. And then property taxes, they don't make you pay that up front. They just send you a bill at the end of the year. So that is why closing costs is so expensive on the buyer right now. And then in addition to that, many buyers are trying to buy down their interest rate a little bit. So those closing costs and those prepaids can be thousands of dollars depending on what your loan origination, what your property insurance is, the property taxes, because all of those fees are tied to the purchase price of the house. If you're buying a $200,000 house, your insurance is not the same as if you're buying $1 million houses. That's why it can kind of change. Now, from a seller's perspective, when I'm talking to a seller and they're like, Jenny, we're not paying any closing costs. We're not paying any of the buyer's closing costs. I always tell them you kind of have to think about some of those as shared to me. This is my opinion. Because you're going to go to the same closing attorney that the buyer is using. He's going to prepare all the documents for you to sign as well as the buyer to sign. He only charges one fee. He's doing the title search on your property to make sure it can be transferred to the buyer. So I always like to tell sellers, let's think about this. Could we offer a little bit in closing costs? Because we're kind of sharing some of those people. Some of them are not, but some of them we are. Because if you're selling your house and you're too hard, it can be really hard to find a buyer because everybody likes to negotiate a little bit. So I hope this helps on closing costs.